a hidden signal, a chained presence deep beneath the mountain, and a truth buried so long it was never meant to surface. What was unleashed was not meant for human eyes, and what it revealed could change everything we believe. Are you ready to uncover the secret the world was never meant to know? The wind cut sharp through the valley, cold, thin, almost metallic on the tongue. The old radio tower stood against the night sky. Its steel frame groaned as if alive. Red warning lights blinked in uneven rhythm. Each pulse seemed slower than the last. I climbed the narrow path, boots scraping stone, frosted grass crunching under each step. Every sound carried in the stillness. The air smelled of ozone. Electric, charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. At the summit, the tower loomed above me, paint peeling, bolts rusted orange, thick cables stretched into the darkness, disappearing into the mountain itself. I pressed my hand against the steel. It thrummed beneath my skin. Not vibration, a pulse, like the slow heartbeat of something buried deep. The radio strapped to my belt hissed alive. Static at first, then fragments of a voice, half in English, half in something older, a language my mind recoiled from. I turned the dial. The voice grew sharper, whispers layered upon whispers, some pleading, some commanding. The ground shifted beneath my boots. Loose gravel skittered down the slope. The cables pulled taut, humming louder, resonating with the tower. And then I heard it, not through the radio, not through my ears, inside my head. A single word repeated, low, resounding, impossible to ignore. Awake, the mountain itself seemed to exhale. A hot gust of air rushed upward, smelling of iron and smoke. The radio screamed, every frequency at once. A wall of sound that pierced bone and blood. I fell to my knees, hands pressed hard against my ears, but the voice remained calm, inevitable. You should not have come. Or the lights on the tower blinked faster now. Red, red, red. The steel frame rattled as if straining against invisible weight. Sparks shot from the cables, raining fire onto the frozen ground. The mountain shook. Rocks tumbled. Shadows moved where no light touched. Shapes too large to belong here, too wrong to be seen. And in that moment I understood. The tower was never built to send signals. It was built to hold them in. The heartbeat beneath the earth grew louder, slower, stronger. Something ancient was waking. My breath froze in my throat. Every instinct screamed to run, but there was no path down, no escape, only the voice, only the pulse, only the mountain. The earth rumbled beneath me. Dust drifted from the tower. It clung to my tongue, bitter and dry. The red lights blinked faster, a strobe against the night sky. Each flash carved jagged shadows across the rocks. The cables thrummed louder now, not wires, chains. I felt it suddenly. They were not carrying power. They were holding something down. The air split with a crack, like thunder underground. The mountain groaned as if in pain. My radio hissed again. The voice returned, calmer now, sharper. I warned you. The ground beneath me fractured. Thin lines spread like spiderwebs. Faint light leaked upward from the cracks. Sickly green, alive. I stumbled back. The tower swayed, bolts screeching in protest, metal against stone, chain against chain. The whispers rose again. Not from the radio this time, from the cracks, from the earth itself. Countless voices layered together, some begging, some screaming, some laughing. Heat pushed upward in sudden bursts, smelling of ash and iron. My skin burned. The rocks themselves seemed to breathe. Then silence. Perfect silence. So deep it swallowed my heartbeat. And in that silence, something shifted. Something vast. Something waiting. The mountain exhaled again, slow, heavy. The word returned. Awake. And I realized the tower was not failing, it was opening. The tower groaned. Metal shrieked against metal. Bolts snapped like gunfire. The red lights no longer blinked. They glowed steady. Unnatural, as if staring down at me. The cracks in the ground widened. Stones slid into the gaps. The green light pulsed brighter. Each surge timed with the beating beneath the earth. Heat rolled out in waves. My lungs burned. Every breath filled with smoke and iron. I pressed my palm against the ground. It was hot, alive, and it moved. From the fissures came a sound. Not voices this time, not whispers. A low hum, so deep it rattled the marrow in my bones. The cables tore free from the tower. They writhed like serpents, sparks showered the night. Each cable snapped into the cracks, as though pulled downward by unseen hands. The hum grew louder. A rhythm, a call. My radio erupted again, this time with coordinates, numbers spilling in a frantic loop, repeated over and over. I did not recognize them, but someone would. They were not meant for me. They were meant for the others. The ground lurched. I fell hard, skin tearing against stone. When I looked up, I saw it. Something vast pressing against the fissures. Not shape, not form, only pressure. A presence forcing itself upward. The hum became a roar. The mountain was no longer holding it. The tower was no longer a prison. It was a door. And the door was opening. The roar faded. Not into silence. Into something worse. A low vibration. It pressed through my ribs. It rattled my teeth. The sound of something too large to measure. The green light spread farther now. It licked across the rocks like fire. But the flames were cold. Each flicker left frost behind. My breath fogged in front of me, white against the sickly glow. The air stank of wet earth and copper. The fissures widened again. Stone cracked like old bone. A rush of air burst upward, hot and foul. The taste of ash coated my tongue. Then came the shadows. They rose from the cracks, stretching against the glow, shifting into shapes that made no sense, angles that should not exist, forms that hurt to look at. The radio screamed, static layered with voices, male, female.
Old, young.
All speaking the same phrase. Do not look, do not see. But I did. I could not stop. From the fissure, something pressed upward. Not body, not flesh. A surface slick and glistening, etched with spirals that moved on their own. It pulsed in rhythm with the tower lights. Red, green, red, green. Heartbeat against heartbeat. The mountain shifted again. The ground fell away beneath my boots. I clawed at the stone, nails breaking, skin tearing, barely holding on. The shadows leaned closer. They had no faces, but I felt them staring. The hum became words. Low, endless, rolling through the air like thunder. You are chosen. The words echoed through me. Not around me. Inside. You are chosen. My grip slipped on the stone. Jagged edges tore at my hands. Warm blood ran across cold rock. The green light pulsed harder. It matched the rhythm of my heartbeat. No, it controlled it. Each throb forced by something else. The shadows swayed around me, their shapes bending in ways I could not follow. Every movement whispered against my skin, like the brush of unseen fingers. The air thickened. Heavy, wet. Every breath tasted of salt and rust. From the fissure, the slick surface rose higher. Not stone, not metal. Something living, veined with glowing spirals that shifted faster the longer I looked. The tower groaned again, steel bent inward. The chains pulled deeper into the cracks, not restraining, guiding. The radio clicked. A woman's voice broke through the static calm. Measured. You should not be there. Step back now. I froze. She sounded close. Too close. As if speaking directly into my ear. The shadows recoiled at the sound. They twisted violently, hissing in frequencies I felt more than heard. The slick surface sank slightly as though resisting. You are interfering. The deeper voice thundered. The ground split wider. The cold fire flared brighter. And the tower's red lights exploded one by one. Darkness swallowed the summit. Only the green glow remained. And in that glow something vast began to rise. The green glow pulsed. It washed across the rock. It painted the shadows in shapes that twisted my stomach. The fissure widened. Stone crumbled into the abyss. The sound was endless, like falling into forever. The voice from the radio spoke again, firm, unshaken. Do not answer it. Do not look too long. Her words crawled across my skin. Warnings whispered like commandments. But the deeper voice thundered back. You are mine. The ground buckled. I was thrown to the dirt. Dust filled my throat, dry and bitter. My ears rang with the clash of two forces. Her voice. Its voice. The slick surface pushed higher, now towering above me, dripping with cold light. Spirals burned across it, shifting faster, spinning until they blurred. I tried to turn away, but my eyes refused. Something inside me wanted to see, needed to see. The radio crackled violently. For a moment only static. Then a scream tore through the speaker, sharp, human, cut off mid-breath. I staggered back. But the fissure followed, splitting outward in every direction. The mountain itself seemed to open. Heat surged up again, this time wet. It smelled of rot, of something that had been buried too long. The voice inside the earth rolled through the air, each word a tremor. The door cannot remain closed. And with that the mountain moved, not shaking, not breaking, shifting. Like something vast beneath it was turning over in its sleep. The mountain shifted again, a sound like stone grinding on stone. Low, relentless. It vibrated through the ground and into my bones. The fissure spread wider. I could see down into it now. Not just rock, not just earth. Layers of black surface glistened in the green glow. Moving, breathing, the air pressed heavier. Each breath shallow. Each inhale thick with a taste of ash and rust. Circling me. Their forms sharper now. Arms. Fingers. But too many. Always too many. The radio flared. The woman's voice returned. Urgent now, you must leave. It is breaking through. Her words cut through the hum. For a moment, the glow faltered. The spirals slowed. The ground stilled. Then the deeper voice roared. Silence. The mountain answered. The glow surged brighter than ever. The fissure split with a crack so loud it shattered the air. Fragments of stone burst upward like shrapnel. One tore across my arm. Hot blood spilled down my sleeve. I stumbled back against the tower's ruined frame. Its steel burned cold against my skin. The chains rattled violently, snapping link by link. From below, something massive shifted closer. I felt it more than I saw it. The pressure, the weight, the sense that the mountain was only skin, and that skin was about to tear. The woman's voice fell to a whisper, trembling now. You are standing at the first fracture. If it rises here, the others will follow. The world will not hold. The ground caved inward. A roar erupted from the depths. No longer a hum, no longer words, a sound older than language itself. And from the black surface, a single eye opened. The eye stared upward, vast, unblinking. Its surface rippled like oil on water. A glow bled from its centre, not green, not red. A colour my mind could not hold. It bent the air around it, bent my thoughts. My knees buckled. I dropped to the stone, hands trembling, vision splitting in two. The shadows bent low. They bowed toward the fissure. Their many arms spread wide as if welcoming their master. The air pulsed with heat and cold together. Each breath scalded my lungs, then froze the next. The stench of iron and rock grew thicker. I gagged, choking it down. The radio sparked. A burst of static so sharp it cut like glass. Then her voice returned, strained, cracking. Do not let it see you. It feeds on recognition. But I could not turn away. The eye filled everything sky. Earth, thought. Every spiral within its depths spun faster, drawing me closer. A ringing built in my ears. High, piercing. It drowned my heartbeat. It drowned her voice. It drowned everything. Then came the sounds soft, wet, like fabric tearing under water. The fissure widened again. The eye rose higher. Now half of it clear above the ground, its surface slick, veined with light. The shadows screamed, a chorus of voices in triumph and terror both, and inside my head the deeper voice returned. Chosen, witness, the mountain shuddered. Rocks tumbled into the abyss. Chains snapped one after another. Each break echoed like a gunshot, and I understood. The door was no longer opening. It was already open. The eye rose higher. Its surface glistened with cold light. Moisture dripped from it, falling in heavy drops that sizzled against the stone. Each drop burned the ground black, the air filled with smoke. Bitter, chemical, it clawed at my throat. The shadows pressed closer. They clung to the edges of the fissure, stretching, reaching, their forms twisted in unnatural worship. The mountain groaned again. Stone split, the sound sharp, endless. A wound spreading wider. I pressed back against the ruined tower, steel cold against my spine. The radio sparked and spat. Her voice burst through. Frantic! You must move now! If it rises fully, nothing will send it back. But my legs would not obey, my body heavy, dragged toward the light, toward the spirals inside the eye. The spirals shifted faster. They spun like storms. They pulled thought itself apart. Memories blurred, faces blurred. Even my own name slipped from me. The ground heaved again. The fissure tore open like a mouth. Heat and rock poured upward. The smell of burning soil filled the night, and then the eye blinked. The world fell silent. The shadows froze. The mountain held its breath. That single motion carried weight. A truth I could not escape. It was awake. The blink shattered the silence. A low hum rolled through the cavern. Deep, vibrating. It pressed against my chest like a heavy hand. The shadows swayed, not in chaos, in rhythm. Their movements matched the pulse of the eye. The ground vibrated with each beat. Dust rained from the ceiling. Fragments of stone cracked loose and fell. Every sound echoed like drums of war. My hands pressed to my ears. It made no difference. The hum was inside me now, in my bones, in my teeth, in my blood. The radio shrieked with static. Then words forced their way through. Short, sharp, urgent. They are breaking containment. You are standing inside the breach. Her voice faltered. Another sound bled through the signal, a second voice. Layered, ancient. It spoke in tones my mind should not understand, but I did. It said one word. Open. The fissure split wider. The chains rattled once more. But this time, they did not snap. They melted. Steel running like wax in fire. A wind rushed upward. Hot, damp, carrying the stench of centuries trapped below. Sulphur, rot. The taste of ash filled my mouth. The shadows screamed again. They scattered to the walls, clinging, trembling, not in worship now, in fear, because something else was moving, beneath the eye. Something vast, something rising. The eye shifted, its gaze tilted upward, no longer fixed on me. It searched the ceiling. The stone groaned in protest. The cavern quaked. Cracks spidered across the walls. Fissures split beneath my feet. Heat poured through them, thick and sulphurous. The shadows hissed. They shrank back, their forms twisting in panic. Even they did not want to see what was climbing free. Something vast moved beneath the eye. A shape pressed against the fissure. Bone white, ridged like the hull of a ship. It scraped stone as it rose. The sound was unbearable, like metal tearing, like glass grinding against glass. Every nerve in my body recoiled. The radio snapped alive again. Her voice cracked with terror. It is breaching. Do you understand? If it crosses through, the bindings fail everywhere. Her words blurred in the rising roar. The cavern air churned. Hot wind tore at my skin. The stink of blood filled my nose. The shadows fled. They clung to cracks and corners. Silent, shaking. Abandoned by the very thing they worshipped. Stone collapsed. Chunks the size of houses fell into the pit. The fissure yawned wider, and from the darkness below a hand emerged. Enormous. Clawed. Skin like old stone, cracked and veined with fire. It gripped the edge of the world. The mountain shuddered. The chains dissolved to nothing. The hum deepened into a roar, and then the eye turned back, locked on me. Waiting, the hand clutched the stone. Claws sank deep. The mountain screamed. Fragments rained down. Dust filled my mouth. Every breath scraped my throat raw. The eye blazed brighter. It pulsed with impossible colour. Each beat pushed deeper into my skull. Each beat erased more of me. The ground split apart. Flames rose from the cracks. Not red, not orange. Shadows of fire that burned without light. The radio whined. High shrill. Her voice forced its way through. Barely words. Do not let it call your name. But the voice inside the fissure already knew. It spoke with thunder and whisper both. Witness. Come closer. My legs trembled forward. Stone seared my boots, the heat blistered skin through leather. Still I moved. The shadows clung to the walls, hissing in despair. They knew what came next. They had seen it before. The hand pulled higher. Veins of fire lit its arm. Each muscle flexed with earth-shaking force. The cavern ceiling bowed. Rocks groaned under strain. The stench thickened. Rot. Ash. Burned copper. The taste coated my tongue. The eye narrowed. It saw me. Truly saw me. And my thoughts fractured into spirals. The chains were gone. The door was gone. Only the breach remained. And through it, the rest of the body began to rise. The cavern buckled. Stone peeled like paper. The mountain itself seemed hollow, a shell straining against what pushed inside it. The hand rose higher. Now the arm followed. Skin cracked, glowing from within. Every movement shed sparks that hissed against the stone. The eye did not blink. It swiveled downward, pinning me in place. My chest locked tight. My heart refused to beat. The voice surged again. Not sound, not thought. Something in between. Step forward. Accept. I tried to resist. My body leaned anyway. Each muscle answered to something older than me, something deeper. The shadows revved in silence. Their forms flickered, splintering into dozens of broken outlines. They shrank further into cracks, as though the very sight of what rose could unmake them. The air vibrated. Dust hung weightless. Time stretched thin. Every sound drew long, distorted. Even my breath scraped slow, like glass dragged across stone. Another limb tore free. This one twisted. A shape that should not bend as it did. Its claws dug trenches into the rock. The fissure widened again. The mountain roared like a dying beast. And from below came another sound. A heartbeat, slow, ancient. Each thud rolled up through the stone. Each thud made the cavern walls bow inward. The radio shrieked. Her voice broke through in fragments. Containment lost. No return to you must. The signal died. Only the heartbeat remained. Then the eye narrowed once more. Not in curiosity. Not in rage. In recognition. It knew me. The recognition froze me. It was not chance. It was not coincidence. It had been waiting. The eye dilated, swallowing its own glow, then flared bright enough to burn the cavern walls. Symbols etched into the stone lit up in answer. The same spirals I had seen in the crate, the same patterns Helena described as bindings. They pulsed in rhythm with the heartbeat. A cage, but one that was cracking. The air grew heavy. Each inhale scorched like smoke. Each exhale rattled in my chest. I tasted iron. The scent of ozone burned my nose. The voice pressed into my skull again. No words this time. Only hunger. Images bled into my mind. Cities crumbling. Oceans boiling. Skies tearing open with fire. And at the centre of it all, its eye, staring back at me across centuries. The mountain shuddered. Rocks rained down like hail. A split opened in the cavern floor, black and bottomless. Heat blasted upward, reeking of sulphur and rot. The shadows shrieked without sound. They hurled themselves into the fissure as if fleeing back into the depths. Even they wanted no part of what had risen. The hand reached further. Now the chest emerged. It was not flesh. It was not stone. It was both and neither. Across its surface the spirals shifted and wraved. Not symbols, not carvings, ice. Dozens of them. Hundreds all snapping open at once. Every one locked on me. The eyes opened in waves. Blinking, shifting, twitching in unnatural patterns. Each one glared with a light that drilled into my skull. The cavern pulsed. The heartbeat grew faster. Louder, closer. Stone cracked beneath my feet. Splinters of rock curled upward. As if gravity itself no longer held sway. I staggered back, but there was no escape. Every path had collapsed. Every shadow quivered. The mountain had become its body. The eyes rolled in unison. Then they fixed on me. All of them. My thoughts stopped. My breath froze. The voice surged again. This time it was not hunger. It was language. Not spoken, but carved into my bones. You carry the key. My knees buckled. The weight of the words was unbearable. Heat blistered across my skin, though no fire touched me. What key? My voice cracked. It sounded small, pathetic in the vast chamber. The mountain shuddered once more. The fissure widened. Molten light licked the edges. Ash coated my tongue. The voice pressed deeper. Your blood remembers, your line remembers. The cage weakens. You will open it. I tried to deny it, tried to shake my head, but my hands trembled. My chest burned. Something inside me responded to the call. The eyes widened. A sound split the cavern. Not roar, not scream, laughter. It laughed, and the mountain trembled with it. The laughter echoed. It rattled through stone and marrow alike. Each pulse cracked the cavern further, as if the mountain itself was splintering under the sound. The eyes did not blink. They swelled, growing brighter, veins of light threading across its skin. You will open it. The words carved deeper this time, searing behind my eyes. I fell to one knee. The ground was burning hot, yet cold sweat streamed down my face. I clawed at the rock. Splinters sliced my palms. The smell of blood filled the air, sharp, metallic, and the creature inhaled. Every eye dilated at once. The heartbeat quickened. I felt the pull, not physical but deeper. Something tugged at my chest, as if it were drawing breath through me. The radio hissed again. Static fought with the laughter. Then her voice cut through, ragged, urgent. "Alex, listen to me. You cannot let it mark you. Do you hear me?" The eyes narrowed. The cavern went still. Even the mountain held its breath. Then a new sensation. A burn along my forearm, symbols rising beneath the skin, spirals, shifting. Alive, the thing had touched me. I tried to scream, but no sound came. Only the echo of its laughter remained, curling inside my head like a promise. The mark spread. Lines of fire traced veins across my arm, each spiral twisted, then split into more, endless. The pain was not pain, it was memory. Flashes of faces I did not know. Eyes like mine, blood spilled on stone altars, hands pressed against the same spirals. A family, my family, centuries deep. The voice surged. "Your blood remembers." I staggered to my feet. The cavern lurched with me. Walls dripped with molten veins. The air thickened, pressing like water against my chest. The radio spat static. Her voice struggled through. "Alex, listen. Your line was chosen, not for power, for sacrifice. Sacrifice." The words struck harder than the heat. The spirals burned brighter. They coiled around my wrist, crawling higher. Skin blistered, bone humped. The creature leaned forward. Its hand, vast and broken, stretched across the cavern. Claws scraped sparks from the altar. The eyes narrowed in unison. It waited, not for escape, not for freedom. For me, the mark throbbed in rhythm with the heartbeat. Every pulse threatened to tear me apart. Every thud echoed like a countdown. The countdown pounded in my veins. Each beat grew louder. Each beat dragged me closer. The spirals reached my shoulder. My skin shimmered with shifting light like molten metal beneath flesh. I tried to fight it. I clenched my teeth. I dug nails into my arm. Blood welled between my fingers, but the marks did not fade. They drank the blood. They spread faster. The eyes widened. The laughter deepened. It was not sound anymore. It was vibration. The cavern floor shook in time with its joy. Memories not my own flooded me. Monks chanting in frozen mountains. Blades carving spirals into stone. Men screaming as their skin burned like mine. Each one falling silent. Each one feeding the cage. The radio cut through again, faint, frantic. "Alex, resist it. Do not let the chain complete. If it finishes, you will not be you." Static swallowed her voice. The claws reached nearer. Stone split under their weight. Sparks showered across the altar. Heat rolled over me in waves. The spirals reached my neck. My vision blurred. For a moment, I saw through its eyes. The world was small, fragile, waiting. My chest heaved. Every instinct screamed to run, but my legs locked in place. The mark pulsed once more, and I felt it, a second heartbeat inside me. The second heartbeat shook my chest. It was slower, deeper, older than my own. Each thud pressed against my ribs. Each thud pushed my pulse out of rhythm. I staggered, choking for air. The spirals climbed my throat. Their light spilled across my jaw. The heat was unbearable. I smelled my own skin searing, yet felt no pain. Only pressure, only presence. The eyes narrowed. The creature leaned closer, its vast face breaking through the smoke. Every eye blinked once, perfectly timed with the second heartbeat. It wanted me to match it. It wanted me to surrender. The cavern floor heaved upward. Chunks of stone floated, weightless, circling the altar like satellites. Ash spun in spirals around me. Every fragment mirrored the marks on my skin. My vision darkened at the edges. The radio hissed faintly. A voice bled through. "Not as this time, a man. Calm. Measured. Alex. You cannot resist it forever, but you can choose how it takes you." The voice was inside the static, yet older than the signal itself. Older than words. My knees buckled. Hands hit the stone. It was hot as coals, but I could not rise. The spirals reached my face. I felt them coil beneath my eyes. The world flickered between two visions, mine and its. And then the laughter stopped. The silence was worse. The silence pressed harder than the laughter. It swallowed sound, swallowed breath, swallowed thought. The heartbeat slowed, one heavy thud. A pause, another. The cavern shivered with each. The spirals on my skin froze in place, no longer burning, now cold. Like ice burrowed beneath the flesh. Every eye stared, unblinking, unmoving. Then the voice in the static returned, softer this time, almost whispering. "You hear it, do you not? The moment between heartbeats. That is where the truth waits." I pressed my palms to my ears. The radio was gone, shattered somewhere in the rubble, yet the voice lingered. Inside, the fissure yawned wider. Heat roared from below, blistering my lungs. Ash fell like snow across my shoulders. Still the creature did not move. It watched. It waited. My blood surged against the mark. Veins glowed beneath the skin, pulsing with light. Each pulse stretched the silence thinner. Each pulse carried me closer to something final. The voice whispered again, "Choose quickly. Silence does not last." And then a sound, a third heartbeat, not mine, not its, something new. The cavern walls groaned. Stone bled light from hidden seams. The mountain itself seemed to awaken. The third heartbeat shook everything. It was not faint, it was not distant, it was everywhere. The stone under my hands vibrated. Dust rained in steady streams. The fissure below howled with heat, yet the sound was drowned by that rhythm. 3 pulses now mine. Its and the new one. The spirals on my skin twisted violently. They split apart, breaking into jagged shapes. Each line fought to obey a different beat. Agony tore through me. My body jerked, pulled in opposite directions. Bones creaked as if they might shatter. The creature's eyes flared. For the first time, they did not look certain. They narrowed, then shifted upward. The mountain itself answered the third beat. Seams of light ripped open along the ceiling. Molten brightness poured down in rivers, but the heat did not burn. It hummed. It soothed the cold marks etched into me. The voice in the static returned. Now clearer, now commanding. Do not surrender to the first. Anchor to the third. It is older. It is what bound the cage before blood was spilled. The cavern split with a deafening crack. A column of white fire erupted, slamming between me and the creature. Its hand recoiled. Its laughter returned, but this time ragged, uncertain. The third heartbeat grew louder. It matched mine, beat for beat. For the first time, I felt the weight shift. The third heartbeat swallowed the cavern. Its rhythm sank into the stone, into the molten rivers, into my chest. Each pulse steadied me. Each beat pressed against the spirals, forcing them back into place. The pain dulled, my breath slowed. The fire did not burn. It carried the scent of ash and ozone like a storm waiting to break. The creature staggered. Its outline blurred, as if the light itself refused to hold its shape. It hissed, and the sound cracked the air like splitting ice. You don't know what you're touching. Its voice was no longer calm, no longer certain. You call the jailer, and you think it favours you. The static roared louder, weaving through the fire. It spoke in fragments, each one vibrating against my teeth. Anchor root awakening. The fissure below widened, not downward but outward. Walls split, stone peeled back like paper. Behind it, earth, not fire, something else. A space that did not belong here, a void where shapes bent and bled into each other. It breathed and the cavern trembled. The third heartbeat came from there, from that impossible gap, and now it wanted me closer. My legs moved without asking. One step, then another. The heat thickened, wrapping me in invisible chains of light. The creature lunged, its hand clawing through the flames, but the fire recoiled, splitting to shield me. It screamed, not in rage, in fear. The void pulsed again. The third heartbeat thundered, dragging me toward it, and for the first time, I wondered, was I walking into salvation, or into something even worse? The void breathed again, slow, heavy, each inhale pulling the cavern inward, each exhale pushing fire and stone away. The air thickened. It smelled of damp earth and rusted metal, a scent that belonged to places buried too long. I leaned forward, my body no longer my own. The third heartbeat echoed through my bones, guiding me like a tether. Shapes flickered inside the gap, not solid, not smoke, something between. An outline tried to form, a face, then a spiral, then a mass of wings without bodies. The creature behind me staggered, hissing like steam escaping a broken valve. You cannot let it through. Do you hear me? It does not bind. It consumes. But its words sounded hollow now, desperate. Drenched in fear, the static deepened. No longer fragments. Now it carried rhythm, sentences, whispers shaped into meaning. You are the gate. My skin rippled as if struck by invisible hands. Each hair lifted. Each vein thrummed with borrowed light. The fire bent inward, spiraling toward the rift. The chains carved in stone flared, symbols pulsing in sickly green. The cavern floor cracked. A gust of freezing air rushed upward, burning against my lungs. The void widened. The shapes inside steadied. 1, 2, 3 silhouettes pressed against the edge, as if waiting for permission to step through. And then they spoke in unison. Not with words, with my own heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. Each strike came from inside my chest. Each strike tore the cavern wider. And still I moved closer. The silhouettes pressed harder. Their edges sharpened. The veil quivered like stretched glass about to break. The cavern shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The fire bent low, pulled by something older than gravity. I tried to breathe. The air cut my throat like shards of ice. Every inhale scraped. Every exhale echoed. The symbols on the stone chains blazed brighter. Their glow stung my eyes. Green bled into the black, curling like venom through the cavern walls. The creature behind me screamed, not in words,
Not in rage.
but in terror. It clawed at the stone, its limbs breaking as it tried to crawl away. The void did not care. It pulled everything closer. The chains, the flames, my heartbeat. Boom, boom. The silhouettes synchronized with the rhythm. Each beat pushed them closer. Their forms were clearer now. One towered like a pillar of broken bone. One read like threads of smoke twisting into a body. The last a figure almost human, its head tilted, its hollow eyes met mine. The heartbeat inside my chest stopped. Silence. The cavern froze. Even the flames held still. And then the voice spoke again. Not from the void. Not from the cavern. From inside me. You are ready. The silence stretched. A silence so heavy it felt alive. The cavern held its breath. Even the broken creature pressed flat against the stone dared not move. The human-like silhouette leaned forward. One step. Its outline rippled, flesh one moment, smoke the next. Its hollow eyes gleamed faintly, not with light, with recognition. I felt the weight of its gaze, as though every memory I had was being pulled apart, laid bare, catalogued. My knees buckled. The cavern floor was wet and cold beneath my palms. The stone pulsed like living flesh, a slow heartbeat beneath the rock. The figure raised a hand, its shape stretched, fingers long as blades of obsidian. They pointed, not at the chains, at me. The heartbeat returned, not steady, a violent, thunderous pounding. Not inside the cavern, inside my ribcage. Boom, 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 boom. My chest burned. Each strike sent a wave of heat through my veins. The symbols on the floor answered, flaring brighter, sensing with my pulse. The void trembled. The barrier cracked. A sound like glass shattering filled the cavern, sharp and endless. The other two silhouettes pressed against the breach. Their forms swelled, straining for release. The human figure leaned closer. Its voice whispered through my skull. Break or bind, the choice was mine, but I no longer knew whose heartbeat guided me. The words echoed inside my skull. Break or bind. They did not fade. They looped, overlapping, growing louder with each repetition. My head throbbed. Blood roared in my ears. The cavern walls quivered as if the stone itself struggled to decide. The human figure's hand hovered closer. Its long fingers almost grazed my chest. The air between us burned. It smelled of copper, raw and metallic. The ground trembled. Hairline cracks spread outward from the rift, spilling thin streams of green light. The light slithered across the floor like liquid serpents, curling toward my hands. The creature that had followed me hissed again. Its voice cracked with panic. "Do not listen! It will hollow you out! It will wear your skin!" But its words broke apart, drowned beneath the rhythm. Boom, boom. The cavern was moving with my pulse now. The flames bent with it. The chains rattled to it. Even the shadows swayed in time. The human figure leaned closer still. Its hollow eyes filled my vision. Inside them, I saw flashes. A field of bodies frozen in ash. A tower split open, bleeding light. A spiral carved into the ocean floor. The images came faster, each one sharper than the last. Each one accompanied by that voice. Break or bind. The cracks widened. The other two silhouettes pressed harder. Their shapes blurred, their edges already slipping through. The decision was no longer distant. It was here. It was now. My hands began to move, not by choice, but pulled by the chains of fire carved into the stone. My arms trembled. The stone beneath me pulsed. Each beat pushed my hands forward. The fire-laced chains glowed hotter. Their light spread into my skin. My veins lit like molten wires, burning, searing, yet refusing to let me pull away. The cavern swelled with pressure. It pressed into my ears, filled my skull, made my teeth ache as if they would shatter. The human figure waited, still silent. Its eyes deep hollows, mirrors that reflected only me. Behind it, the two greater forms repped at the breach. They pressed harder. Each movement sent thunder through the cavern. Shards of rock rained down. The air filled with choking dust. The choice tightened around me like a noose. Every breath scraped raw, every muscle strained. Break or bind. The whispers merged into a chant. Dozens of voices layered atop one another. Male, female, child, all speaking with one mouth. Break or bind. Break or bind. The cracks in the floor flared, green light boiling upward. The smell of sulphur coated my tongue. Sharp and bitter, my palms lowered to the carved symbols. The stone sizzled, flesh met fire, skin blistered and split. A scream ripped from my throat, but the chains did not release me. The cavern shook again. The barrier to the void thinned. Through the widening fracture, I saw one of the great silhouettes stretch a limb forward, a limb shaped like endless spirals of bone. The figure before me leaned closer. Its whisper was no longer soft. It was command. Now, my palms seared against the stone. Blisters burst, blood hissed as it touched the glowing symbols. The cavern answered. The chains of fire blazed upwards, snaking around my arms, binding me tighter than flesh ever could. The human figure did not move. It only watched, head tilted, as though studying the last flickers of my will. The whispers grew louder, no longer just inside my skull. Now they poured from the walls, from the cracks, from the rift itself. Now. The ground split further. Green light burst in sharp flares, filling the cavern with a noise-eating glow. The smell of rotting leaves and iron filled the air. It clung to the back of my throat. The spiral-limbed silhouette forced its way closer. Its appendages scraped against the edge of the breach. Each scrape was like bone dragged across glass. The sound stabbed deep into my ears, setting my teeth on edge. My pulse raced, but it was no longer mine. The beat was too strong, too heavy, shaking every stone in the mountain. Boom. 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 The symbols beneath my hands flared once more. The choice struck like lightning through my chest. Break or bind. The cavern leaned with me as though it too waited for my answer. Every shadow stretched forward, reaching. Every flame bent inward, hungry. And then, my voice spoke without me. I choose. The words were stolen, swallowed, dragged from my throat before they could live. The cavern roared. Air rushed inward, as if the mountain itself took a single, hungry breath. The fire on the altar flared black. Not smoke, not ash, a colour that was absence wreathing like liquid shadow. The figure with spiral limbs convulsed, its body twitching against the breach. Every movement spat sparks of green lightning. Each spark left scorch marks on the stone, marks shaped like eyes. The human silhouette raised its hand. My jaw locked. My chest froze. I could not breathe. The symbols beneath my palms blazed white hot. The pain was beyond pain now, hollowing. As if my flesh was being written over with something that was not mine. Do you know, the whispers merged, becoming one voice at last. What you have bound yourself to? The wall's blood. Dark streaks seeped through the cracks, running like veins toward the rift. The smell of copper thickened the air. I forced my head up. The spiral, limbed shadow was no longer trapped. Half its body had emerged. A torso of shifting angles, arms bending where no joints should bend. The human figure turned to me, its face finally clear. It was my own. It was my own face, but not alive, not human. A reflection peeled from some deeper, darker place. Its eyes were hollow, pools of moving ink. They shimmered with the same sickly green that poured from the rift. It smiled. My mouth did not. The muscles of its jaw cracked, pulling too far, stretching skin until it split at the corners. The cavern pulsed with its breath. Every inhale dragged the air thin, as though the mountain itself was exhaling. The walls trembled. Dust fell like cold rain. The spiral, limbed creature froze, its movement stilled. It bowed its jagged head toward the figure that wore my face. The voice came again, but this time it came from my own lips. You are no longer the witness. The sound echoed, layered with tones I did not recognize. You are the seal. The white, hot symbols seared deeper into my skin. Lines of fire carved across my arms, spreading like veins of molten iron. The altar groaned beneath the weight of the ritual. The reflection leaned closer. Its breath was rotten iron, thick enough to taste. You chose without speaking, it whispered. The mountain decided for you. The ground split wider. A low, grinding moan rose from the depths. Not rock, not earth, something alive. And then a sound broke through, not from below, from above. A siren, distant, faint, wailing through the tunnels, other people coming closer. The siren wailed again, closer, echoing through stone corridors like a scream. The reflection tilted its head. It listened, eyes burning green, mouth curling wider. The spiral-limbed shadow pulled back, hissing, retreating a fraction into the breach. It feared the sound. Boots struck the tunnel floor, heavy, measured. Not the stagger of miners, not rescue workers armed, trained. My pulse hammered against the seared symbols etched into my arms. They glowed in rhythm, responding to the vibrations in the stone. As if waiting, the reflection spoke with my voice. They arrive late, as always, but they are too close now. The cavern lights flickered. Torches snapped and bent inward, pulled by an unseen wind. The air tasted of ozone, thick and metallic. The boots stopped. Silence pressed in. Then, a voice shouted from the tunnel. Containment breach confirmed. Lock it down! The reflection stepped back from me, its grin splitting wider until its face tore. No blood, no flesh, just shadow spilling from the wound. See, it hissed. They are not here to save you. The spiral, limbed shadow surged forward again, striking against the rift with bone-cracking force. The mountain shook, chunks of stone rained down. The altar split along its centre, and from the tunnel a beam of harsh white light pierced the cavern. Blinding, unforgiving. Figures poured in, helmets gleaming, weapons raised. Their insignia burned into my vision, an owl etched in silver watching. The owl insignia glared in the torchlight, cold, metallic. Watching, the soldiers spread in a perfect arc, rifles aimed, movement sharp, rehearsed. Not hesitation, not doubt. Their boots crunched against the fractured stone. The cavern echoed with the clicks of safeties released, each sound like a nail driven into a coffin. The reflection stepped between us, its torn face leaking shadow that crawled along the floor. The soldiers did not fire. They lowered their weapons slightly, as if recognizing something. The leader's voice cut through the smoke. Subject bound. Stabilize containment. Two men rushed forward with cases, metal hissing as they opened. Inside, coils of wire glowed faint red, pulsing with faint electricity, not weapons, bindings. The spiral-limbed shadow slammed against the rift again, howling in a soundless shriek that tore through my skull. The soldiers staggered. One dropped his rifle. Another screamed, clutching his helmet. The reflection laughed with my voice. They will never hold it. Not now. The altar split further. The symbols beneath my hands flared so bright that my vision burned white. The heat seared through bone. I could smell my own flesh. The soldiers moved faster. Cables uncoiled. Machines activated, humming low and violent. The air crackled with static. And then one of them looked at me. Not my arms, not the rift, me. Target compromised, he shouted. Sell him too. Every rifle turned. Every red dot landed on my chest. The reflection leaned close, its hollow eyes inches from mine. No, you understand, it whispered. You are not here to witness. You are here to be buried. The rifles stayed fixed on me, cold red dots circling my chest like a swarm of insects. The reflection tilted its head mocking, enjoying the sight. Its grin widened until cracks split down its throat. The soldiers advanced. Cables hissed, unfurling across the stone like snakes of metal. Their glow lit the cavern in jagged flashes of red. My arms trembled. The symbols carved into my flesh pulsed brighter, answering the hum of their machines. Heat surged through my veins. The smell of burning cloth rose as my sleeves caught fire. The spiral-limbed shadow shrieked again, its voice a storm of broken glass. The cavern floor shook violently, splitting under their boots. One soldier stumbled into the fissure. He vanished in a scream cut short. The others did not flinch, training kept them cold, mechanical. The leader raised his arm behind him. Now, the first cable lashed forward. It struck my wrist, coiling tight, biting deeper than flesh. Pain shot through me, but the symbols blazed hotter, fighting back. The cables sparked, melted, snapped apart. The soldiers froze. Their formation cracked. I was not just the target. I was the breach. The reflection leaned close, its whisper searing against my ear. Do not fight it, let it hollow you. You are already chosen. Another cable lashed out. This one wrapped my throat. Tight, cold. The metallic taste filled my mouth as sparks bit my skin. I tried to scream. Only the mountain answered. The rift tore wider behind me. The green light flooded everything. Every shadow bent inward, drawn toward me. And then, the reflection's hollow eyes flickered, uncertain for the first time. Because something else was waking. The reflection's grin faltered. Its head tilted, jerking like a puppet with cut strings. The soldiers tightened their grip on the cables. Their rifles buzzed with static charge, but their helmets turned not toward me, but toward the rift yawning wider at my back. A sound rose from within. Not a scream, not a roar, something deeper, older, like the grinding of mountains shifting beneath oceans, like stone dragged across bone. The cavern walls vibrated. Dust rained from the ceiling. Every spiral carved into the rock flared white hot. Each symbol throbbed in time with my racing pulse. The cable at my throat snapped loose. Not cut, not burned. Released. The soldiers faltered, their formation broke entirely now. One stumbled backward, his visor flashing with static. The reflection's face stretched in terror, its hollow eyes wide, its grin collapsing into a gape of silent dread. Behind me, the green light surged forward. It spilled over the stone like liquid fire. It touched the soldiers first. Their armor cracked. Their flesh blistered. Their screams layered into a single note, a perfect, shrill tone that pierced the skull and rattled the teeth. I could feel it burrow inside me. Not pain, not fear, a call. The voice that had lingered in the hum of radios, in the static between worlds, was no longer hidden. It was awake, and it wanted me whole. The cavern shook. Every stone vein glowed with pulsing light. The air tasted of copper and ash. The soldiers fell to their knees. Their visors shattered, spilling eyes that were not human. Pupils stretched thin like cracks in glass, blinking in perfect rhythm. The reflection clawed at the surface of the black pool. Its fingers scraped, desperate to pull itself free. But the surface rippled like tar, sucking it back inch by inch. The tone drilled deeper into me. Each beat sank into bone. Each pulse carried words I almost understood. Not language, not sound, but something older. Something written in marrow and blood. The walls wept green fire. Symbols spiraled outward, rewriting themselves faster than the eye could follow. Every line sharper, every curve tighter. The soldiers tried to rise. Their bodies jerked like broken machines. Their mouths moved, but the sound that poured out wasn't theirs. It was the same voice, the one in the static. The one that had waited in silence. Opian, the cavern cracked. The altar split down the centre, and from beneath the stone something vast began to breathe. The breath rolled out, heavy, wet, carrying the stench of iron and decay. It swept through the cavern, snuffing torches in a single exhale. Darkness swallowed everything, except the pulsing green veins in the stone. The soldiers froze. Their eyes glowed faintly, mirroring the symbols on the walls. They were no longer men. They were vessels. The pool rippled. Not from within, but from the pressure of something beneath the altar. The water recoiled as though it feared what was rising. A crack split wider. Dust rained down in sheets. The sound was not stone breaking. It was ribs. Bone. Something vast forcing its way out of a cage. The voice surged again, but now it was everywhere. In the walls, in the water, in my skull. Upper opening already. The soldiers bowed their heads, their jaws unhanging too wide. From their throats not screams, but chords, a choir of static, perfectly tuned. The altar heaved. Something beneath it pressed upward, and then a single eye the size of a lantern snapped open in the dark. It blinked, once, and the mountain trembled. The eye glistened. Its surface filmed with a slick, oily sheen. Not water, not blood, something older. It rotated slowly, dragging my vision with it, as if the world itself bent toward its gaze. Every torchless shadow shifted. Every echo warped. The cavern was no longer stone and air. It was its body, its breath. The soldiers dropped to their knees. Their mouths hung open, and from the depths of their throats spilled a low hum. a frequency too deep to be human. It vibrated in my teeth, in my spine. The green veins in the walls pulsed faster, like veins in flesh, like arteries feeding the eye. The pool began to boil, not from heat, but from movement below. Shapes pressed against the surface. Finger-like, claw-like, testing. The eye blinked again. The sound was not a blink. It was a lock, a door giving way. Cracks split the altar. Stone slabs shifted, pushed from beneath by something vast. And then a second eye opened, far larger, far closer. The mountain groaned as if alive. The second eye did not blink. It stared, unbroken, unyielding. Its glow spilled across the cavern. Cold, green, unnatural. Every surface shivered under it. Stone looked wet. Metal looked alive. Even the soldier's skin seemed to ripple, as though something inside was trying to surface. Their hum grew louder, no longer a vibration, a chant, the same phrase, over and over, in a tongue I did not know. My ears blurred, but my mind understood. The gate is open. The pool split in two. A line of black rose upward. At first I thought it was shadow. Then I saw the scales, hued, dripping, glittering with veins of green fire. The air thickened. Every breath burned. Every heartbeat lagged. And still the eye pulled me closer. Closer to the truth that should never be seen. The altar collapsed entirely. From beneath it, something vast began to rise. The mountain trembled. The world above it trembled too. The scales shifted. Each movement scraped like iron across stone. Sparks lit the cavern. The sound crawled inside my skull. Water poured from the fissure. Not clear water. Thick, black, reeking of sulphur and blood. The soldiers fell to their knees. Their chant broke into screams, not fear, exultation. Their eyes rolled back, white, empty. They offered themselves to the thing rising. The air bent, like heat over asphalt, but colder, so cold my teeth ached, so cold the marrow in my bones seemed to freeze. The line of black kept rising, higher, broader, until it blocked out the ceiling of the chamber. Then, a claw, longer than a man, curved like obsidian, dripping with liquid that hissed when it touched the stone. The mountain itself groaned, a sound older than language, older than fear, and still the eye stared, never blinking, never forgiving. The gate was open, and something had stepped through. The claw scraped against the cavern wall. Stone shattered. Dust rained like ash. Another claw followed, wider, sharper. It dug into the floor, carving deep trenches that smoked as if the ground itself was alive. The soldiers were no longer human. Their skin bubbled. Their jaws split wider than bone should allow. They were reshaping, moulding into something that echoed the thing above them. The chanting turned guttural, deeper, resonant. Each word pressed against my chest like a physical weight. The eye pulsed once, twice. Each pulse stole light from the torches until the cavern was lit only by its glow. The scales stretched higher. Now I could see the outline. Not a beast, not a god. Something between both. Its breath rattled through the chamber, thick, wet, carrying the stench of rust and rotting seaweed. The mountain shook again. Loose stone cracked from the ceiling. One boulder smashed into the pool, and the pool swallowed it whole without a ripple. Then came the sound. Low, thunderous, a voice too vast to belong to a throat. It did not speak in words, it spoke in intent, and that intent was hunger. The hunger pressed against my mind. It clawed at memory, it scraped at thought. Every secret I'd ever buried rose to the surface. Every lie, every fear, laid bare before the eye. The soldiers bent lower, foreheads slammed into stone, blood smeared in patterns that pulsed like veins. The claws dragged forward, the scales rippled. Something vast was pulling its full weight through the gate. The cavern warped. The walls stretched as though made of flesh. The ceiling breathed. Each inhale sucked the air from my lungs. I tried to scream. Only silence came. The voice drowned it out. It did not whisper. It did not roar. It filled. Every drop of water, every grain of dust, every beat of my heart. It spoke again. Clearer this time. You are mine. The pool widened. Stone melted at its edges. The black water spilled outward, crawling like living tar. It reached the boots of the nearest soldier. He did not move. He welcomed it. The tar climbed him, entered his mouth. His eyes burst with green fire. And still the gate yawned wider. And still the mountain trembled. The eye blinked once more. And when it opened, there was more than one staring back. The cavern glowed with eyes. Dozens. Hundreds. Each one opening where no surface should allow. On the ceiling. In the walls. Even in the flesh of the kneeling soldiers, they blinked in perfect rhythm. A pulse that shook the ground. A rhythm that threatened to pull my own heart into step. The tar spread faster. It hissed as it touched my boots. Cold burned like dry ice. My legs stiffened. I tore backward. The sound of my breath rasped like broken glass in my throat. Every inhale tasted of salt and copper. The voice returned, layered now. Countless voices stacked into one. They spoke as the eyes spoke. Do not run. The soldiers rose. Their bodies jerked as if strings pulled them from above. Mouths stretched impossibly wide. From their throats, black water poured. The floor trembled. Cracks spread outward like lightning. From each fracture the same liquid bled, carrying with it the stench of ancient rot. The mountain was no longer stone. It was becoming part of the thing. A shell cracking open. The claws slammed down again. Closer. so close the air rippled from the impact. The eyes turned in unison, every single one of them fixed on me, and the voice so calm now, so certain, spoke a command. Step forward. I froze, the words pressed against my skull. They were not sound, they were weight. Every muscle tightened, my foot twitched, against my will. Forward, the ground pulsed beneath me, warm, wet, as though I was standing on a living organ. The soldiers parted, their bodies swayed like reeds in a poisoned wind. Their hollow eyes followed me, waiting. I clenched my jaw. I fought to stop. Veins bulged in my arms. Sweat burned my skin, but the voice was stronger. It filled every nerve. It pulled me step by step closer to the pool. The tar hissed with anticipation. It bubbled. It reached upward like hands, welcoming me. The nearest soldier collapsed, not from weakness, from surrender. His body dissolved into black foam as though the pool had claimed him. The smell hit me. Rotting kelp, burned iron, sweet decay that clawed at my throat. I stumbled. My knees scraped stone that pulsed with heat. The eyes blinked in rhythm faster now, urgent, and the voice, so deep it shook marrow, spoke again. You are chosen. The pool split wider. A shape began to rise, not claw, not scale, a face. But not human. The face rose slow, deliberate, each inch revealing more than I wanted to know. Its surface was not skin, it was shifting matter, like liquid stone caught between melting and hardening. Every texture alive, eyes opened across it, not two, not four, dozens, each in a place where no anatomy should allow. They blinked out of rhythm, some rolled in spirals, some stared upward into nothing, but all of them radiated hunger. A mouth formed next, not one mouth, a series of slits, horizontal, vertical, diagonal. They opened in silence, no lips, no tongue, only black water pouring outward in slow streams. The soldiers lifted their arms, as though welcoming rain. Their flesh smoked where the liquid touched, and still they smiled. The face leaned closer. The cavern walls bent toward it. Every sound vanished. No drip of water, no breath of wind, only the soundless pressure of its gaze. Its many mouths widened at once, and though no sound escaped them, the command was clear: join. The ground gave way beneath me. Stone crumbled into tar, the pool swallowed light, and I felt myself falling into the face, falling into endless mouths. I fell, not through air, not through space, through something thicker. It clung to me. Cold, heavy, like oil that was alive. Every motion slowed, every breath burned. The taste was iron and ash. Shapes moved beside me, pale, long-limbed things. They had no faces, only smooth, wet surfaces where eyes should have been. They reached, not to grab, to guide. Their fingers stretched like roots through water. The deeper I sank, the brighter it became, not light as I knew it. A green glow, sickly, pulsing like a heart. The pool was not bottomless. It was a passage, a throat, and I was being pulled toward the stomach of something vast. The glow sharpened. It came from pillars, monoliths of stone carved with spirals. Each symbol writhed as I drifted past. They bent in directions that hurt to follow. Whispers surrounded me, thousands of voices layered upon each other. Some cried, some laughed, some begged. All spoke the same word. Closer, I wanted to scream, but when I opened my mouth, the liquid rushed in, it filled my lungs, and yet I did not drown. Instead, the voices grew louder inside me, inside my chest, inside my blood. Ahead, the glow widened. Not a room, a chamber vast, alive, and at its centre, a figure waited, tall still, covered in chains that were breaking link by link. One eye opened in the dark, and it knew my name. The eye did not blink, it burned, gold laced with black veins, an endless spiral turning inward. Each rotation pulled me closer, not my body, my thoughts, my memories. The chains rattled, old iron, crusted with salt. They shook as if something beneath the figure was breathing. I smelled rot, wet earth, rust, and something sweet, like spoiled fruit. The figure shifted, slow, deliberate. One arm rose against the weight of its bindings. The stone monoliths around the chamber vibrated. Their symbols glowed brighter. Each pulse matched the beat of my heart, until I could not tell which rhythm was mine. The eye widened. I felt heat against my skin, but it was not warmth. It was pressure, like being pinned beneath an ocean. The whispers surged, thousands of voices speaking as one. The words sank into me. You were chosen. The chain snapped once, a single link falling into the black liquid below. The sound echoed like thunder. The cavern shook. The water rose around me, and from the far edge of the chamber, something else began to move. Not the chained figure. Something larger, something that had been watching in silence. The green light bent, shapes unfolded from the walls. Claw's eyes, a second presence, longer than the chamber itself, and it was not bound. The walls rippled. Stone became flesh. Flesh became shadow. The chamber breathed. I froze. The chained figure's eye never moved. It stared at me unblinking, as if waiting to see if I would notice the other. The presence stirred again. No clear form, only movements that bent perspective. One moment above me, the next behind. Then everywhere at once, the liquid trembled, waves without wind. The taste of copper spread across my tongue. The pressure in my chest grew heavier. A claw slid from the dark, not solid, not smoke, something between both. It scraped the nearest monolith. The symbols bled light, green spilling into the black. The stone screamed. a sound not meant for ears, low, piercing, like glass breaking inside the skull. I covered my head, but it did not matter. The sound was not heard, it was lived. The whispers changed, no longer urging, now pleading. Do not let it see you. But it was already too late. The shadow twisted toward me. A dozen eyes blinked open across its form, all fixed on my face. The chained figure raised its head. For the first time it spoke. The voice was a tremor through the water. Run. I could not move. The command was clear, but my body betrayed me. Every muscle locked, every thought stalled. The shadow's eyes widened, not lids, not pupils, just openings in the dark, stretching wider, pulling me inside. The chamber bent. The monoliths leaned toward me. Symbols read faster, spinning like a storm. Their light flashed against the liquid, turning black into emerald fire. The chained figure strained. Its bindings groaned. Iron links split one after another. It shook the cavern with each movement. But still, it was not free. The shadow's claw reached down. It did not touch me. It hovered above my head. Cold radiated from it. Stronger than ice, stronger than death. My lungs seized. The liquid inside them thickened. Every breath dragged knives across my chest. The whispers screamed now. Thousands of voices tearing through me. Do not look, do not look. But I did. I looked straight into its nearest eye. The world collapsed. I saw corridors of bone, endless, twisting, skies filled with spirals, burning in colours that had no names. A sea of hands, reaching, grasping, pulling at nothing. The sound returned, a low grinding hum. It came from the shadow. It was laughing. The chains behind me broke again. The chained figure roared a single word. Enough. The chamber exploded with light. The light was blinding. It tore across the cavern like fire. Every surface cracked. Every shadow shrieked. I staggered backward. The floor rippled beneath me, as though it had turned to liquid stone. Heat surged through my chest, burning away the cold that had held me still. The shadow recoiled. Its vast form twisted, splintering into fragments of black smoke. Each fragment carried an eye, still blinking, still watching. But the chained figure did not falter. Its body glowed white-hot, the runes across its skin igniting. Chains snapped one by one, falling into the liquid with a hiss. The sound was unbearable. Not metal. Not stone. Something deeper, like the groan of the earth itself, as though the mountain's heart were breaking. The monolith shattered. Symbols scattered into the air, spiralling upward like embers. They did not fade. They circled overhead, forming a wheel of fire. And then the voice returned, not a whisper this time, not thousands of voices at once, one deep, final. You opened the door. The cavern lurched. Walls peeled back like torn fabric. Beyond them, a black horizon stretched forever, pierced by towers of bone. The shadow surged into it. The chained figure stepped forward, and I felt myself being pulled with them. The choice was no longer mine. I clawed at the ground. Stone split beneath my fingers. But the pull was too strong. The cavern was no longer solid. It bent and folded as if space itself were nothing but paper. The horizon beyond grew closer. Black towers swayed like living things, their spines humming with hunger. I tried to scream. No sound came. The air was stolen from my lungs, dragged forward into the void. The chained figure walked ahead of me. Its body burned brighter with every step. Each rune was now aflame. Its eyes, if they were eyes, glowed like two suns bleeding fire. The shadow rushed to meet it. Fragments of smoke congealed into arms, limbs, faces, each one dripping with hatred. When they collided, the world shook. The towers rang like bells. The wheel of fire above spun faster, its light splintering into shards that cut through the darkness. A shard struck the ground near me. Stone hissed. The crack it left behind crawled outward, stretching like a spider's web. And then the web moved. It wasn't cracks. It was something beneath the stone. Something pushing upward. Something trying to break through. The voice thundered again. The seal is not broken, but it will be. The ground gave way. I fell, not to darkness, not into light, but into something that felt alive. I landed not with pain, not with sound, but with stillness. The ground pulsed beneath me, warm, alive, breathing. Above, the chained figure and the shadow twisted together. Light and darkness locked in endless struggle. Neither winning, neither breaking. The towers collapsed one by one. Each fall shook the horizon. Each collapse echoed like the tolling of a final bell. And then silence. The wheel of fire slowed. Its light dimmed to ash. Only the voice remained. The seal holds for now. The ground beneath me shivered. Fissures closed. The web retreated. The mountain began to mend itself, stone knitting together like scar tissue. I was cast out, thrown back into the world above. The cavern was gone, the air cold, the forest still. But the mark burned on my hand. A faint glow, a brand not of this world. I understood then. The battle had not ended. It had only paused. The bindings weaken, the shadows wait. And when the last chain falls, the world will not be ready.